This is why Subnautica Below Zero has one fake creature you've never seen before in every biome. Hey there, I'm Aki, and sound design is really important for a game. And even more so for a game like Subnautica, where 90% of the time you get scared by sounds. That's why the sound designers for Below Zero came up with some really cool tricks that make you get scared of creatures that aren't even in the game. If you played Subnautica before, you'll know the feeling of hearing something in the distance you can't quite make out, and then instantly turning around and running back to your base. This is the exact feeling that made the original Subnautica so scary, the fear of the unknown. I'm here with Jeff Tansock, one of the sound designers of Below Zero. He and his team have also worked on some other games, like Celeste, Towerfall, Darkest Dungeon, Crypt of the Necrodancer, Into the Breach, Super Meat Boy Forever, League of Legends The Ruined King, and more. But for Below Zero, there are some really interesting things they did. Have you ever wondered how they made the pangling sounds?
An easy way to do it is to just pitch up the sound of the normal penguins, make them sound a little higher, and you're like, oh, that's kind of like a baby now. But we wanted to kind of go a step further. So we used actual babies in the penguins. So we also layered the sound of these babies, human babies, with windshield wipers. And you get that kind of like screech or the ee sort of thing.
So yeah, baby penguins are human babies using windshield wipers. But for real, this is actually a very common thing to do with sound design. You try to mix in some sounds that invoke emotion in whoever is hearing them, but in a way they don't actually realize what those sounds are. For example, in Terminator 2, they used a lion growl for a truck crash. Yes, I'm serious, look it up, it's actually what they did. The T-Rex sounds from Jurassic Park also have lion roars in them. Why so many lions? Well, that's because lion roars are something most people would probably find alarming if they heard them in real life. So, if they hear them in a movie or game, even if you don't realize it, it subconsciously makes you a little more scared. They also did a similar thing for the Leviathans in Below Zero. These are, of course, the things you're supposed to be most afraid of, and if your task is to make a massive shrimp scary, you gotta use some tricks.
There's definitely like a combination of not only organic predator sounds like lions or tigers, things like that, but there's also like very sharp and grating sounds, like crushing metal, that we layered into the sounds as well.
So the Chillosaur sounds, roars, whatever, have crushing metal in them. Huh. Not only that, but the music also has some tricks to it. Instead of the synth electronica vibes the first Subnautica had, Below Zero actually uses real instruments. At least more than the original game. And not just any instruments. Ben Prunty, the composer for Below Zero, actually ordered some strange instruments from all over the world to give the soundtrack that alien feel. And it definitely works out. I mean, I can't pick out the instruments from this track, for example. Can you? Something else I found interesting was that the ice worm was supposed to sound differently at first. Instead of the roars and ice breaking as it comes towards you we currently have, which honestly is cool, it was supposed to have echolocation, which you would be able to hear as it got closer. Now, okay, for a predator it's kind of bad for your prey to be able to hear you, but for the horror aspect it would have been amazing. Imagine just strolling around on the surface, then suddenly you hear a quiet sound in the distance. And then again, and again, but it gets a little louder each time. I'm kind of sad they scrapped this idea, honestly. And of course, the thing you're all here for, the hidden or fake creatures. They added sounds for creatures that don't even exist to every single biome. So some of the creatures you hear in the background are just there to freak you out. They came up with creatures they thought might fit a biome and then thought of ways the creature might sound. But they did this completely independently from the devs or the rest of the art team, so none of this is actually in the game.
So yeah, what we thought was that we looked at all of the biomes, whether it was, the twisty bridges, even the Arctic tundra up above and stuff, and we looked at all the biomes and we were like, what kind of animals could we imagine living in these areas? Yeah, and when we were looking at the kelp caves, we were like, so there's obviously a lot of vegetation in kelp. It'd be really interesting if there was a creature hidden amongst all of the seaweed and the kelp that you couldn't see anyways, but you could hear, and that's what would freak you out. Our goal was to just pretty much just scare the shit out of you.
This is not official concept art, by the way. This is just me coming up with an idea of what it could look like.
And then another one for I think with the twisty bridges, we tried to imagine sort of an old dinosaur that was trapped underneath and couldn't find its way out because of the maze that was underneath. Yeah, they seemed to really like that idea. So there was a lot of back and forth between me and my audio team in trying to imagine what kind of creatures were in this area without consulting the art team. So it was completely from our own imagination.
I actually never noticed these sounds in the game before, but now that I do know they exist, I'm definitely going to keep an ear out. Here are sounds for 2 more fake creatures they made. I really like the sounds, and I think it's super smart to do this actually. Below Zero wouldn't be nearly as good as it is without Jeff and his team. So, in his own words,
I think one very major goal for us as sound designers is to create something you can't quite put your finger on.
if you're also interested in sound design, see what Jeff has to say.
If anyone is interested in sound design as a profession, or seeing what companies like us look for in terms of sound designers, my co-founder Kevin Regami has a twitch.tv/powerupaudio, and every Thursday we look at budding sound designers' reels and we critique them. So if you're interested in sound design and interested in getting a career in sound design, I do recommend you check out our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/powerupaudio, every Thursday. And you'll see a video of Kevin critiquing some sound design reels.
If you'd like to support me, check out my Patreon, it's in the description down below. You get some really cool rewards, for example, a shout out like these awesome people: Blink, Jeff the Sea Dragon, Ripe Cucumber, Tony Els, and Wynog. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time. Goodbye!
We'll be right back.